A handbag factory owner in Dongguan speaking out of frustration shared.
这几天呢，就是因为关税的问题。
Due to these tariffs, many of our orders have been halted. We have zippers today, bags purchased, and materials piled up in our warehouses. We're overwhelmed. This sudden increase in tariffs has caused massive disruption. The trade war is escalating, and the U.S. tariffs on China have now reached a staggering 245% on some products. On April 15th, Xia Baolong, director of the Hong Kong and Macao Affairs Office of the State Council, harshly criticized U.S. President Trump's tariff policies during a speech, stating, "It's not our taxes they want, it's our lives." His strong reaction underscores the severe impact that Trump's tariffs have had on China. When Xia spoke of taking our lives, he referred to severing China's economic lifeline, its position as the world's factory. For years, this status has supported China's employment, taxes, urbanization, and even local government finances. Losing this position would cripple China's ability to challenge the U.S. economically and severely undermine its internal stability. In Dongguan, once known as the world's factory, the situation is dire. Factories that once thrived are now facing unprecedented challenges. Some have already relocated, and others are on the brink of closure. A factory owner in Dongguan who produces luxury handbags stated, "Factories in Dongguan are either relocating or closing down. Yiwu Shoes, with 120,000 workers, has moved to Southeast Asia, and Li Tai, with 80,000 workers, has moved to the Philippines. If all the factories leave, workers in China will have no job opportunities left and will have to return to farming." The garment industry has also been hit hard by the tariffs. Exports have dropped drastically, leading to massive stockpile issues and severe cash flow problems. Many factories have been forced to shift focus to domestic sales, but the competition in China is fierce, and profits are slim, making it nearly impossible to recover from the losses. All our clothes are unsellable right now. We've accumulated too much raw material because of Trump's trade war. We decided to switch all our export stock in our Guangzhou factories to domestic sales and sell everything, regardless of the price. I've been here for days, unable to sleep, and finally decided to send everything back to my hometown to sell. Another businessman involved in the apparel export industry stated, "The tariff war has severely impacted the clothing sector. Many of my colleagues in Shenzhen and Guangzhou are facing the same issues. A shirt that used to cost 100 yuan now costs over 280 yuan with the added tariffs. How can we keep going with such high prices? With no orders coming in, factory workers in Shenzhen and Guangzhou have nothing to do, and for young people, no job means problems with paying mortgages, supporting elderly family members, and children's education. The impact is enormous." As the trade war intensifies, small and medium-sized export-oriented businesses across China are facing an existential crisis. Some factories have ceased operations, while others are struggling to survive through price wars, with profits almost non-existent. Business owners are now grappling with how to stay afloat in the face of increasing pressure from both domestic competition and international demand. A Shanghai-based vlogger shared, "Recently, I've spoken to several companies in Shanghai, and their business has nearly come to a halt. The main reason they've stopped trading is not just the increased tariffs, but the uncertainty around them. For example, one Chinese company was about to ship a batch of goods to the U.S. Even with the tariff increases to 120%, they could still negotiate how to share the cost. But if the tariffs suddenly jump to 200% after a month or more, it could cause massive losses. These unpredictable risks have led many companies to suspend trade with the U.S. entirely." One female business owner in the furniture industry spoke about how tariff increases caused the cancellation of her orders.
2个月全白干了。
2 months of work wasted. I spent all this time redesigning the bed frames, adjusting sizes and perfecting the details. The customer finally approved everything and I was ready to ship. Then suddenly the US raised tariffs and the customer backed out. Now 5 completed samples are just sitting in my office, all that work gone to waste. I did my best, but reality didn't give me a chance.
In Qingdao, Shandong, a factory owner who produces false eyelashes explained, "A few years ago, we were making over 500,000 yuan in profit each month when the market was good, but now business has slowed down. It's so competitive. You can invest hundreds of thousands to set up a factory, but there's no return. We've been idle for a week now." He explained that although he still has some clients in South Korea, Southeast Asia, and Dubai, he hopes to continue selling products through their networks, but the results have been minimal so far. He also tried working with local live streamers to sell products, but they demanded a cooperation fee of 100,000 yuan, which discouraged him from proceeding. A factory owner from Foshan, Guangdong, producing aluminum doors and windows, faces similar challenges. The past 2 months have been tough for many factories. We used to make over 100 doors daily, but now we need to produce over 200 just to make a profit. With fewer orders, we can't reach our target output. Since the trade war started, many factories that once focused on exports have shifted to the domestic market. To survive, they've had to cut prices, but the competition is fierce. Many factories can't even keep up with production, but they're still trying to lower prices, which will eventually lead to their collapse. In such a tough environment, the priority for factories is not about how much profit to make, but about survival. If you can survive and get orders, that's the biggest comfort. Even Yiwu, known as the world's largest wholesale market for small commodities, is facing a grim future. Yiwu is home to over 75,000 businesses, with the US being one of its key trade partners. A blogger mentioned that some of his friends, who are business owners in Yiwu, have had all their orders cancelled due to the tariffs.
今天碰到了公司的老客户。
Today I met with a client who's been in the business of importing and exporting goods with Europe and the US for years. They've been hit hard by the tariff increases. Orders from the US have completely stopped. As they put it, all their orders are now zero. They've been forced to look for new markets in Africa, the Middle East, and Central Asia. Another factory owner from Yiwu, who once managed over 100 workers, also described the far-reaching impacts of the tariff war. Everyone is feeling the pain. There are no more orders for exports to the US. The economic environment was already bad. And now, with the ongoing tariff battles, all industries in Yiwu are affected. Many people here are scared and worried about the future. Mr. Fan believes that the US-China economic war will not end quickly, and the impact on Yiwu's foreign trade businesses is severe. He said that the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, system is harmful for the people. Recently, an insider from within the Chinese Communist Party revealed a secret document issued by Xi Jinping to local officials. The document, a resolution from the CCP's Politburo Standing Committee, outlines the response to the U.S. tariff war. It asserts that the U.S. war is not an isolated economic challenge, but a comprehensive campaign launched by Donald Trump, encompassing political, economic, military, and cultural fronts. The document details the series of measures for a final showdown with the U.S. in various domains, including economics, politics, and military. In terms of the economic battle, the CCP emphasizes the need to further refine the domestic economic self-circulation mechanism and requires governments at all levels to prepare for the potential resumption of a supply-based economy to address difficult situations. The resolution even refers to the restoration of supply controls as the killer move to defeat Trump. Many influential online commentators analyze this as an indication that Xi Jinping intends to revert to the closed, self-sufficient, and rationed living conditions of the Cultural Revolution era, sacrificing the well-being of the Chinese people to wage a final battle with the US. Under the current circumstances, with the Chinese public suffering from severe economic consequences, Xi Jinping continues to adopt a tough stance while ignoring the livelihoods of ordinary people. At the same time, he uses the state's propaganda machine to brainwash the public, encouraging nationalism and rallying the population to unite against the US. Many Chinese have been deeply affected by this propaganda, not only boycotting American products like McDonald's, KFC, Tesla, and Apple, but some have even followed the CCP's call to prepare for tough times, with extreme examples like practicing eating tree bark and pig feed to demonstrate their determination to stand against the United States. In one video, a woman is not only eating tree bark herself, but also showing her father and friends mimicking her by holding tree barks to chew bark, symbolizing their resolve to fight in the tariff war against the US. In another video, a blogger explains how to survive on pig feed, suggesting soaking it in water and pairing it with fruits and vegetables to create a balanced diet that is affordable and nutritious. Some Chinese citizens continue to resist the propaganda and remain clear-headed. Those who constantly shout they are not afraid of a prolonged war must be successful, right? Are you the elite earning millions? Have you forgotten that many of us on the ground are struggling? The trade disruptions have affected the entire supply chain, putting the livelihoods of tens of millions at risk. This isn't an exaggeration. In 2018, export-driven employment supported 112 million jobs. If the tariffs continue, trade with China could decrease by over 90%, affecting over 90 to 100 million people. Some Chinese people refuse to accept this, arguing that with the US leaving, costs will rise and life will become even harder. They boast about China's advantages in supply chains, industry clusters, and price competitiveness. But when you break it down, it's all about cheap labor. But can't the industry move elsewhere? Aren't raw materials unique to us? Can't other countries learn the technology? If the US doesn't buy from us, they'll just source from Southeast Asia. The US has 330 million people, consuming 30% of the world's goods, while we have 1.4 billion people, consuming only 12%. Why? Because the majority of our population can't afford to consume. Many people are struggling just to survive, not live. And don't forget, 600 million people in China earn less than 1,000 yuan per month. Xi Jinping is not only indifferent to the livelihood struggles of ordinary people, but also uses threats and intimidation against CCP officials to ensure loyalty and compliance. Amidst this, internal CCP decisions have further exposed their hardline stance, aiming to shift the burden of the economic war onto everyone. In a leaked internal decision, two key financial measures were outlined. The first involves requiring CCP officials and state-owned enterprise executives with deposits exceeding $200,000 in foreign countries to move these funds back to China or another country immediately if China decouples from the US economy, or face charges of treason. The second measure involves selling off $1 trillion in US government bonds and $2 trillion in US corporate stocks and bonds if China decides to completely decouple from the US. According to insiders, officials in Beijing are privately discussing Xi Jinping's approach to the trade war with Trump, and many believe it may be the last major endeavor of his leadership. After this, it could mark the end of the CCP. Xi's decision to persist with this hardline stance against the tariffs comes from the belief that if China backs down, the US will rally other countries to bring up the issue of the COVID-19 pandemic and hold China accountable for its actions, especially Xi's role in the initial response to the outbreak. This is Xi Jinping's greatest fear and political vulnerability. The situation became dire under his leadership as the pandemic spread across China and the world. In internal CCP discussions, officials speculate that Xi Jinping's last strategy could involve returning to a centrally controlled supply-based economy similar to the Cultural Revolution era and using military conflict, particularly in the Taiwan Strait, to address the economic crisis. However, many believe this strategy is a path to self-destruction, as such a system would severely worsen living conditions and spark widespread anger with Chinese society against Xi's policies. Military action against Taiwan could also provoke internal dissent, particularly from high-ranking military officers who are reportedly not loyal to Xi Jinping. These officers may be waiting for an opportunity to overthrow Xi once the war begins.